to give this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated. Please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Robert Bayes. The first name is R-O-B-E-R-T. The last name is T-E-L-L-E-S.
Mr. Tellis, the state is going to allow you, or the court is going to allow you to testify by way of narration. So please tell us. Begin with your story, sir.
Thank you, sir. So, first of all, and excuse me, I'm obviously a little nervous. This is it's a day I've been waiting for nearly 2 years. You know, this thing's been kind of a nightmare, frankly. And again, I want to thank you for being here. And right now, I want to say unequivocally, I'm innocent. I didn't kill Mr. German. And I've got a lot to share with you all. There's been a lot of testimony, and my concern is making sure that you hear what I think about all these things, and you know what would, you know, the concerns that I have with some of these things that have been brought up. So during my testimony, I'm going to be sharing opinions. I know that, you know, folks like Zach Schilling and Mr. Mogg shared their opinions with you. And these opinions were, you know, almost, I guess you could say, argumentative in a sense, right? Basically, Zach Schilling said, well, you know, I'm an expert on shoes, and, you know, I think that those shoes that the killer was wearing are the same ones that I've seen the Shay's wearing all the time, right? So he's arguing that he's an expert and you should believe him. And I think the same goes for Mr. Mogg, right? So I think that when I share an opinion with you, someone might say it's argumentative. And when I say something, I guess I specifically mean the state. But I think that when I share an opinion with you, that's my right. And it's your right to decide whether or not you agree with my opinion or not, whether you want to adopt my opinion or not. So I'm just hoping that, you know, I'm not stopped from sharing with you what I have to say. And when I guess right off the bat, I'll share an opinion with you. The medical examiner testified about how Mr. German was murdered. And, you know, I had to see pictures of Mr. German's body, you know, in preparation for the case. And it's obviously it's ugly. But when the medical examiner testified, that's the first time I'd learned how Mr. German was murdered. Now, you know, I think it's the way that he was murdered speaks to, I think, something or someone who knows what they're doing. You know, the idea that Mr. German's throat was slashed and his heart was stabbed. You know, I think that's, I mean, I don't know if anybody could just do that, right, without some kind of training, without some kind of expertise. So, I mean, and I'm personally not combat trained. I've, you know, none of that. So it seems to me that when I heard that, I thought, you know, my God. You know, so that's, I guess, one example of like the type of opinion I'll be sharing with you. And I want to also provide relevant facts, the truth, and, you know, things that I think are going to tend to disprove a lot of what has been said. And also when it comes to some of the witnesses, some of the documents that I'm going to try to get in are going to kind of go to, you know, whether or not they're being truthful. So again, I'm hoping that I'll be able to get those documents into. I guess we'll see how that goes as well. First, I want to kind of go into my background a little bit. So out of high school, I got a job at a small computer store, and you know, building computers, that type of thing. And then I got an opportunity to work in IT, right? Information technology, working as a network technician. The .com crash occurred, and from there I ended up going into property management. And you know, I enjoyed that. I became a leasing agent, then an assistant manager, then a manager. Then I took a strange turn and got into maintenance, you know, fixing stuff inside apartments, that type of thing. And from there, started to get involved in air conditioners. So then I became an HVAC technician, an air conditioning technician. And it was all, self-study. Right? I took a course for the EPA certification, which is, the license that you're required in order to handle like refrigerant, like Freon, those types of things. I kind of learned like the basics of air conditioning on my own. And the only reason I say it is, like going along is like I've kind of developed this analytical mind, right? So that led to me becoming an attorney. And so then that even built more on that analytical mind, where I think about, all the things, like all the things wrong in this case. And you add on top of that, the fact that I've been sitting in a cell for close to 2 years. So I've had a lot of time to think about a lot of these issues. So again, I think I'm going to point out some strange things about this case. But anyway, going back to my background. So became an HVAC technician. I started working at the College of Southern Nevada. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to name check I was going to say local community college. Sorry, I'm very nervous. Excuse me. So I started working at CSN, managing a team, and I was doing that by day. And I went to law school at night. They have a part-time program at Boyd School, or they did then anyway. I don't know if they still have it, but I went through law school at night. But before I got into law school, I met my wife online. We started dating. I got into law school. We got married. We had our daughter together. So by this point, I had a stepson. I had my daughter from a previous marriage, and then my wife and I had our daughter together. When I got out of law school, I opened my own probate firm, or my own law firm, and I focused on probate law. Now, you heard this term earlier from Detective Jaffe, probate, and also, of course, a couple of other witnesses. And, I do have a correction for, I guess, the way that Detective Jaffe characterized probate law, but I'll get into that as we discuss further Compass Realty. So I want to go from here, from my probate work, into how I became the public administrator. I was, again, a probate attorney, working cases for families, and John Cahill, the public administrator at the time, he saw me in court and, saw that I was, kind of a new face. And so he started giving me a couple of cases here and there. He worked with various attorneys throughout town. So I started doing some work for him, and I can't remember exactly how long I've been working for him, at least a few months, maybe 6 months. But I was part of this volunteer group. We had these weekly meetings where we would bring people in to speak, right? And the group was very interested in learning about things happening in Vegas, right? So I thought, well, gosh, getting the Clark County Public Administrator in to speak would be really great, because nobody knows what this guy does. When you hear the title Clark County Public Administrator, a lot of people think that we're talking about the guy who runs the whole county or something, right? I mean, that's oftentimes when I was in the office, I had these emails from people telling me to fix this on that side of town, or this, that, whatever issue, right? So it's the public administrator, is the probate administrator for the county.